Hello again. Now we're off to the Olympic Park in Seoul, the venue of the '88 Olympics, for our big tennis clash. 33-year-old John McEnroe takes on the 22-year-old Wimbledon champion Andre Agassi in the Nike International Exhibition. We join the three-setter at the start, McEnroe serving.
Well, he starts off with a service winner. And the Agassi return, just he was a little bit jammed up on that backhand. It caught him underneath. And this is the head-to-head, and John McEnroe is one ahead. But of course, the big one was that semi-final in Wimbledon when Andre Agassi won that and went on the way through to win the final against Goran Ivanisevic. John McEnroe has won almost $12 million in prize money in his long and illustrious career. I wonder if that's an indication of what we're going to see. Andre Agassi just trading ground strokes. John McEnroe staying back. Now, if John McEnroe is going to win this, I'm sure he's going to need to get to the net, use that serve and volley game, which is so good. The court surface is a bit like Supreme. It's a Japanese version of that, slightly slower. And same thing again, John McEnroe losing out on the exchange of ground strokes. These two flew in from the States yesterday afternoon, got off the plane, and John McEnroe was adamant that they went straight to the hotel, changed, and went out to the playing area here for about 45 minutes of a practice session. Just stretch the muscles and shake off the cobwebs of the long flight. And they've been out about an hour this afternoon before the start of this match. This gymnasium actually used as the main fencing venue during the Seoul Olympics. Holds about 6,000 spectators, and even though it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Korean time, most people you would expect to be at work, there's still 4,000 people or so in, and people are coming in all the while. Well, McEnroe coming out of a slump, finished last year ranked 28th on the ATP computer. But he's worked a lot on his fitness, works with an old college friend of his, Larry Stefanki. They do a lot of work on just general fitness. I suppose there's not much that Larry's going to teach John about his technique, but knows his game very well, just can remind him when he's getting out of a groove. Well, that called out, but that looks pretty well adjacent to the line. But anyway, it's a break right at the beginning of the first set for Andre Agassi. John McEnroe lost his opening service game. Not quite loosened up. They had a little practice match about an hour before the start of this one, and John McEnroe won that, if that's anything to go by. And there it is, the serve and volley master.
Round 30.
I suppose watching them practice is a bit like looking at the horses in the paddock before the start of the race. Gives you an idea, maybe, of just how they're hitting the ball. And there's an indication of how Andre Agassi is hitting the ball. That's something that he really did work on, and he was saying last year during the French Open, the extra work he's done in the gym to bulk up, giving him a lot more power on the overhead. He's always had that sort of power on the forehand. And John obviously thought that was he's not going to get too excited yet, but he felt that was long. So John's asking, please, next time it's out, I wouldn't mind a little call in my favour. And Andre was just expecting that to come over to his forehand side. John just went back behind him, and it wasn't really a completely wrong-footing shot, but it was enough to put Andre Agassi off balance. And that's what caused the error. Just wide. Well, the first couple of shots, John was giving Andre nothing, no angle, just chipping it down the middle, and then he himself went for the line, just pushed it wide. So here we are, deuce in the first set. Andre is leading 1-0. And it was the depth of that backhand return from John McEnroe that forced the error there.
Game McEnroe, 1 game.
And Andre not very pleased with himself. For two reasons. One, that he's just overhit that. John McEnroe is trying to orchestrate the applause. And you can see Andre just flails at that, knocks it wide. The second reason is, of course, that he's just given up the break of serve that he had. So we're now back 1 game apiece. Good serve. Andre jammed up, although he felt that it was long. And I think in the early stages of this match, the officials are going to have to get used to the extra speed on the players' shots. And that's his reaction. Felt that it was a long serve. We don't expect too many histrionics. These exhibitions can get competitive. Beautiful little drop volley from John. Still in the game, but what a great point early on in this first set. Well, it was a lovely volley initially from John. He came in and Andre just fired the ball at him. And the rally stayed on. John managed to get that back. That would probably have gone out, but Andre flicked it over back into court, straight at John, unfortunately. Oh, that was terrific cross-court from Andre Agassi. So we've had a glimpse of what makes John such a great player, the volleys, and that's what Andre does so well, those real heavily hit ground strokes from either flank. And again, the good length on the shot from Andre Agassi just caught John McEnroe having to lift a little bit. Back to 30-all. Great serve.
40, so.
You saw again, and Andre was just shading over, expecting a ball down the middle. Great service return and a good volley from John. And how did he miss that? That's what he should have done.
Deuce.
But it was such a blistering return of serve from Andre, and John McEnroe did ever so well to actually get the ball back across the net, and he was in a great position to finish the point off. Back to deuce. Well, he says Andre Agassi can't volley. He doesn't do it in the conventional way. He always tries to get something a little bit extra on the shot.
Advantage, agassi.
See John there just going over to the backhand, and that cross-court hit with a lot of underspin. So it's another break point against John McEnroe. And a great service return, so we've had 3 breaks of serve in this opening set.
We rejoin it with Agassi 5-4 up and serving.
Salty 15.
Plenty of pace on the serve there. It's a service motion without a lot of frills. John McEnroe in for the kill.
Salty.
Mentioned earlier how much Andre had put into his work in the gymnasium, beefing up. He's put on 20 pounds or so over the last couple of years, and that certainly helped him through Wimbledon. But the US Open, where he had a very similar game to Jim Courier's in the quarterfinals, semi-finals rather, he came unstuck. It was just a question of being out-hit. Beautiful little drop from John. He's going to follow it up. He's got the wide open space there. John McEnroe, I gave foot speed to Andre Agassi, but John McEnroe is still pretty lively around the court. But of course, one of the things that helps is if you anticipate well and you back up your shots and make the shot and do the right thing to prepare yourself for the next one, and that's what John McEnroe does so well. He's going to have trouble handling that. I wouldn't have fancied being in John McEnroe's shoes there.
Advantage, agassi.
Andre just winding up for that real fierce backhand. Well, to the crowd over on that side, it looked as though Andre had made a complete hash of it, but of course he knew that it was going to bounce wide.
Fourth set, agassi.
So the first set goes to Andre Agassi. And it'll be a change of balls. John McEnroe starts set number 2 with new balls. That's an indication of what we're going to see. Andre Agassi just trading ground strokes. John McEnroe staying back. Now, if John McEnroe is going to win this, I'm sure he's going to need to get to the net, use that serve and volley game, which he's so good. The court surface is a bit like Supreme. It's a Japanese version of that, slightly slow. He starts off with a service winner. And the Agassi return, just he was a little bit jammed up on that backhand. It caught him underneath. And this is the head-to-head, and John McEnroe is one ahead. But of course, the big one was that semi-final in Wimbledon when Andre Agassi won that. And
Hello again. Now we're off to the Olympic Park in Seoul, the venue of the '88 Olympics, for our big tennis clash. 33-year-old John McEnroe takes on the 22-year-old Wimbledon champion Andre Agassi in the Nike International Exhibition. We joined the three-setter at the start, McEnroe serving.
And on the way through to win the final against Goran Ivanisevic. John McEnroe has won almost $12 million in prize money in his long and illustrious career. Over. And same thing again, John McEnroe losing out on the exchange of ground strokes. These two flew in from the States yesterday afternoon, got off the plane, and John McEnroe was